It began with 27 teenagers, brimming with life, embarking on their final adventure before the weight of adulthood settled in. Then, they vanished without a trace. No calls, no bodies, just silence. For 22 years, the story of Lincoln High's graduating class of 1999 lingered as a chilling urban legend, a cautionary tale whispered around campfires in the small town of Willow Creek, Oregon. But everything changed when a lone hiker stumbled upon a rusted school bus deep in the forest, swallowed by moss, filled with moldy yearbooks, and something else, something no one could have prepared for. On June 3, 2021, in the heart of the Deschutes National Forest, an experienced hiker named Tom Bennett veered off his usual trail. Spotting a flash of yellow among the trees, he assumed it was abandoned logging equipment or an old ranger post. As he drew closer, he found the battered shell of a school bus, half buried in the earth. Its faded number, barely legible, read 57. Inside, time seemed frozen. Dusty backpacks hung on seats, faded Polaroids lay scattered, and a warped cassette player rested on the floor. But in the back, beneath a pile of tattered clothes, lay a human jawbone, unmistakably real. When investigators arrived, they linked the bus to one of Oregon's most perplexing cold cases, the disappearance of Lincoln High's class of 1999 during their senior trip. But the deeper they dug, the more impossible the story became. No record existed of the bus being rented. Trail cameras hadn't captured its entry. There were no roads nearby, yet personal belongings from nearly every missing student were inside. Some untouched, others arranged with eerie precision, as if part of a ritual. What happened in that bus wasn't an accident, and what the forest had hidden for over 2 decades wasn't just a tragedy. It was a secret no one was meant to uncover. In the spring of 1999, the hallways of Lincoln High buzzed with the electric energy of seniors on the cusp of freedom. Locker doors slammed, laughter echoed, and teachers offered weary smiles, counting down the days until summer. Among the sea of navy caps and gowns, 26 students stood out, not for their achievements, but for their bond. They were a tight-knit group, forged by years of shared classes, first crushes, inside jokes, and Friday night football games. Emma Harper strode down the hall, clutching a binder stuffed with notes. The pride of her parents, she was class president, valedictorian, and headed to Stanford. Her father, Willow Creek's mayor, James Harper, never missed a chance to boast about her in his speeches. But those close to Emma saw the cracks behind her polished smile. Late-night study sessions, panic attacks hidden in the girls' bathroom. "Em, got your prom dress yet?" her friend Sarah called, jogging to catch up. "Prom?" Emma sighed, adjusting her glasses. "I'm still sorting out the graduation speech. Dad wants it perfect." Sarah grinned. "Relax, you're Emma Harper. Perfect's your thing." Emma's smile was tight, barely reaching her eyes. Nearby, Jake Miller burst into the AV club room, a camcorder in hand. The class clown, bold and relentless, Jake had a sharpness few noticed beneath his antics. He planned to make their senior trip his magnum opus, a video chronicle of their last week together. "This'll be the Blair Witch Project, but funnier," he declared, zooming in on his friend Ethan, making faces. "You're seriously dragging that thing camping?" Ethan laughed. "Pack beer instead." "Beer's for amateurs," Jake shot back theatrically. "Art is forever." Towering over most of his classmates, Lucas Reed was the star linebacker, already signed to Oregon State on a full scholarship. Everyone expected greatness from him, coaches, friends, his single mom. But with every accolade, his fear grew. What if his best days were already behind him?
"Luke, you hitting practice?" his teammate Noah asked, clapping his shoulder. "Gotta stay sharp," Lucas muttered, but his voice carried exhaustion. "Sometimes it feels like I'm running from something, not toward it." Noah shrugged. "You're a star, man. Chill." Lucas only shook his head. Then there was Mia Torres, whose presence was often marked only by the soft scratch of her pencil. Her sketchbook, always with her, held portraits of classmates who never knew they'd been drawn, set against forests she claimed appeared in her dreams. She spoke little unless prompted, but her words lingered. "Mia, drawing again?" Emma asked one day, spotting her hunched in a classroom corner. "Just a forest," Mia murmured, eyes down. "It's in my dreams all the time." Emma frowned, but didn't press. Something in Mia's voice silenced her. When the final bell rang that Friday, the school erupted in celebration. Someone blasted Green Day's "Time of Your Life" from a car stereo. Teachers handed out permission slips for the trip, and talk of the upcoming adventure in Deschutes National Forest consumed everyone. "Ready for the best weekend ever?" Jake shouted, perched on a car hood, camcorder rolling. "If you don't fall off with that thing, sure," Sarah teased, nudging him. "Bet Lucas will scare us with ghost stories," Ethan smirked, slinging his backpack.
"They're not stories," Lucas said, half serious. "The forest doesn't like disrespect." Emma rolled her eyes. "Just don't forget your sleeping bag or get lost." No one knew her words would echo like a prophecy. June 5th, 1999 was meant to be a day of joy. 27 seniors from Lincoln High had planned their trip for months. A final escape after exams, college acceptance letters, and years in their sleepy town. Their destination? A remote campsite deep in Deschutes National Forest, a secluded haven far from parents, curfews, and rules. They set out that Saturday morning in a yellow school bus driven by Mr. Robert Grayson, a last-minute substitute after their regular driver fell ill. The departure was festive. Students waved to families, backpacks stuffed with snacks and sleeping bags. Parents snapped photos, capturing the group's final moments together. "Emma, bigger smile," her mom Karen called, holding a camcorder. "It's your day." "I'm trying, Mom," Emma replied, adjusting her backpack. "Just don't film Jake acting like an idiot." "I'm making history," Jake protested, aiming his camera at her. "This is our epic movie." "A movie where you trip over a root," Sarah quipped, sparking laughter. Lucas stood apart, hugging his mom tightly. "Be careful, honey," she whispered. "Call me." "It'll be fine, Mom," Lucas said, though a strange chill settled in his chest. Mia, as always, lingered on the edges, clutching her sketchbook, her gaze fixed on the distant trees. "Mia, you coming?" Emma called. "Yeah," Mia said softly, but her eyes didn't leave the horizon. That was the last anyone saw of them. By evening, one parent, Mrs. Linda Carter, received a voicemail from her daughter Rachel at 6:18 p.m. Laughter hummed in the background. Someone shouted, "Turn it off!" Then silence. No goodbye, just static. "Rachel, where are you?" Linda redialed, but her daughter's phone was out of service. She shook her head, muttering, "Teenagers." When the bus didn't reach the campsite on time, it was chalked up to delays. Fog had rolled over the forest, and the narrow, barely paved roads were treacherous. Parents called, but no one answered. By Sunday morning, panic set in. Search teams scoured the forest, helicopters buzzed overhead, and dogs followed scents that abruptly ended. The camp owner confirmed the bus never arrived. "They were due yesterday," he told investigators, fidgeting. "I waited until midnight. Nothing." On the third day, the search expanded. A week later, a fisherman found a cracked, waterlogged camera, half buried by a river bend, 15 miles from the main road. The film inside was missing.
"Someone took it," an investigator muttered. But why? 10 days in, another mystery surfaced. Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, whose son Caleb was among the missing, received a letter with no return address or postmark. Inside, in shaky handwriting, were 5 words. "We made it. Stop looking." Mrs. Thompson clutched the note, sobbing, "Caleb's alive!" But experts analyzed it. The handwriting mimicked Caleb's but was off, likely a forgery. "Someone's playing games," an investigator said. But who? Rumors swirled. Some said the kids staged their disappearance. Others whispered of cults or forest rituals. The facts remained. No bus, no driver, no students. After 2 months, the case was quietly shelved as unsolved. Parents kept searching. Some walked the forest trails yearly, others hung missing posters. One father, David Brooks, kept a journal of every theory, every clue, every sleepless night. "They didn't crash," he wrote once. "Something took them. Something didn't want them found." He never explained, and no one proved him wrong. 22 years passed. Lincoln High's halls echoed with new voices, new laughter, but the shadow of 1999 lingered. A bronze plaque near the entrance bore the names of the 27, etched beneath, gone but never forgotten. Each June, the school held a memorial, lighting 27 candles. Some teachers retired early, haunted by unanswered questions. Others stayed, seeing the faces of students forever young in their memories. In Willow Creek, time moved slowly. Bedrooms once filled with posters and textbooks remained untouched. Beds made, trophies on shelves, diaries half-written, waiting for owners who never returned. Some parents clung to hope like a lifeline. Others sank into quiet grief. Mr. Whitaker, whose son Daniel was the class's top scholar, spent days in the library rereading Daniel's essays. Mrs. Larson, whose daughter Sophie played soccer, tended the garden Sophie planted before the trip, never touching a single petal. But Karen Harper, Emma's mother, held fast. While others buried their hopes, she sharpened her resolve. She refused to sign death certificates or place a headstone. Emma's toothbrush stayed in its holder, her answering machine greeting unchanged. "She's not gone," she said, her voice steel. "I feel her."
It's number 57. "What the hell?" he muttered, a chill creeping up his spine. The door was swollen shut. He pried it open, coughing as stale air hit him. Inside was a tomb. Dust and mold coated everything. Torn seats, ivy snaking through windows, backpacks and yearbooks rotting. At the back, under collapsed luggage racks, he saw bones. Not one skeleton, but several. 17, later confirmed. "God!" he gasped, stumbling back, fumbling for his phone to call 911. Within hours, the site was swarmed by police, forensic teams, and anthropologists. The frozen mystery of 1999 thawed. Media flooded Willow Creek, and families, torn between grief and hope, relived their pain. Investigators cataloged the bus's contents. Most items were weathered beyond recognition. But under the driver's seat, in a moldy backpack, they found a waterlogged folder. Inside were charcoal and pencil sketches signed M.T., Mia Torres. Her body wasn't among the remains. The drawings were unsettling. One depicted figures in a forest clearing, circling a fire. Another showed faces hidden behind crude, expressionless masks. A darker sketch portrayed blood dripping from tree branches, pooling in a circle on the ground, with unfamiliar symbols scrawled in the background. Some pages seemed torn from a journal. The final drawing showed the bus, surrounded by tall, faceless silhouettes, with a masked figure at the wheel. "What is this?" an investigator muttered, flipping through. "Did this girl know what was coming?" The remains were identified via dental records and DNA. Of the 27 missing, 26 students and 1 driver, 17 bodies were found.
9 students and the driver, Mr. Grayson, remained unaccounted for. The bus's location, deep in the forest with no roads, ruled out an accident. It hadn't crashed. It had been placed there, hidden. "Why only 17?" a young investigator asked. "Where are the rest? And what was Mia drawing?" The investigation expanded, but the dense forest resisted. No tracks, no further remains, just silence and an unshakable unease. The case, once a missing persons mystery, was now a potential crime scene. When Mia's drawings leaked to the press, a darker theory emerged. "This isn't just a disappearance," a reporter said, standing before the cordoned-off forest. "Was it a ritual? Did these kids see or join something unspeakable? What happened to the class of 1999, and who ensured they never came back?" Days later, Willow Creek's police station was besieged by reporters, investigators, and anxious locals. The town buzzed with questions. What happened to the class of 1999?
What did the bones mean? Why had nothing surfaced until now? On June 10, as fog hung over the town, a man shuffled into the station. Thin, almost frail, with unshaven cheeks and tangled hair, his clothes hung loosely. His sunken eyes darted nervously. "Who's this?" an officer muttered. The man leaned over the desk, whispering, "I'm Jake Miller, from the class of 1999. Silence gripped the room. His words carried the weight of 22 years of mystery. Officers exchanged glances, expecting a prank, but the man's face was grave. "Jake Miller," Sergeant Laura Bennett stepped forward, her voice cautious. "You're saying you're from the class of 1999? Jake didn't answer. His eyes flicked to the corners as if something watched. "I shouldn't have come back," he muttered, voice trembling. "They're still watching." Laura felt a chill. "Who's watching, Mr. Miller?" Jake shook his head as if shaking off a nightmare. "I don't know. I shouldn't be here. None of us should." His words weren't those of a survivor, but of someone marked by something dark. Laura's patience thinned. "Mr. Miller, we need to know where you've been. What happened to your friends?" Jake flinched, eyes darting to the door. I can't. Not yet. They're still out there. They won't stop." Before Laura could press, a forensic tech handed her a file. She scanned it, her brows rising. "Jake Miller. Fingerprints match. DNA too." She stared at him. "It's really you?" Jake's eyes held terror, like a man facing judgment. I told you, I shouldn't have come back." Officers stood frozen, grappling with the impossible. They'd hoped for answers, but Jake was a riddle, his presence deepening the mystery. "What do you mean, shouldn't have?" Laura pressed. Jake backed toward the door. I can't stay. They'll find me." "Wait!" Laura shouted, but the door slammed. Jake was gone, leaving only questions. Days later, Jake sat in an interrogation room, his haunted eyes unchanged. The air was thick with tension. For 2 hours he'd recounted fragments of his life, but now came the truth. "They're all dead," he began, voice shaking but resolute. "Those who fought back, who resisted, they were gone, never seen again." "Start from the beginning, Jake," Laura urged softly. Jake took a ragged breath, his gaze distant. "It started when the bus broke down," he said. "We were in the middle of nowhere, miles from any road. The engine died. We couldn't fix it, couldn't move. We waited and waited. Then they found us." He leaned closer. "They wore gray robes like they lived in the dirt."
Called themselves the Chosen. Said they lived in a sanctuary, away from the world, a place of peace. They said society was collapsing, that the world we knew was dying. Jake's voice wavered. It sounded crazy, but we were trapped. No phone signal, no way to fix the bus.
So we followed them. We had no choice. Laura scribbled notes, her face unreadable. Go on. What happened next? Jake's words tumbled faster. Their camp seemed peaceful at first. Too perfect. They gave us food, a place to rest, promised everything we needed. But the air was heavy, like it slowed time. Then things changed. He paused, breath uneven. They talked about renewal, said we had to let go of our old lives. We couldn't talk about home or who we were. They called it cleansing. The food tasted wrong, like it dulled us. Some of us had vivid dreams, nightmares too real. They made us sleep in shifts, controlled everything. If you didn't follow, you were scared of what they'd do. The room fell silent, his words chilling. Some kids fought back. They couldn't take it, wanted to leave. I heard screams when they were dragged into the forest. They never came back. His lips trembled. They said the forest was alive, that it demanded offerings. Those who resisted were given to the forest. I saw it. No one came back. Laura's knuckles whitened around her pen. Given to the forest? She asked. Jake's voice dropped to a whisper. They took them into the trees, screens, then silence. They said the forest chose. He stared at the floor as if it might hear him. By 2006, I couldn't take it. I ran, far and fast, hid, stayed quiet, thought they'd forget me. But when I heard about the bus, I knew they hadn't. I had to tell the truth. Laura leaned back, her mind racing. Jake's story wasn't just a disappearance. It was a cult. A nightmare that claimed 27 lives. Who are they, Jake? Where are they now? Why was the bus there? Jake shook his head. I don't know where they are. Still in the forest, maybe? Or somewhere else. But they don't stop. Laura's voice softened. We'll find them. We'll figure this out. But deep down, she knew the truth was darker than anyone could fathom. Jake's story split Willow Creek. Some parents saw him as a beacon of hope, a key to closure. Others called him a liar or a broken man, his mind warped by years of trauma. He knows what happened, Karen Harper cried at a town meeting, her voice raw. Why won't you listen? Karen, calm down, Mr. Thompson said, his son Caleb still missing. That guy's not right. You saw his eyes. He's either lying or crazy.
The room erupted in arguments, parents divided by grief. Media turned the story into a sensation. Headlines screamed, Survivor of 99 class reveals forest horrors. Hero or madman, Jake Miller's tale. Reporters dug into Jake's past but found little. He was a normal kid, a former classmate said on local news, always joking, filming everything. But this isn't the same Jake. Something broke him. Under police protection, Jake became a recluse, haunted by sleepless nights. They're still out there, he whispered to himself. They know I'm back. Search teams scoured the forest, but found no trace of the chosen. No camps, no fire pits, just eerie silence. The only clue was Mia's drawings. Dr. Alan Foster, a cult expert, studied them. These symbols aren't from any known tradition, he said. They're ritualistic, likely invented by this group. The forest was their deity, demanding sacrifices. Was Mia part of it? Laura asked. Foster shook his head. Maybe she saw more than the others. Her drawings are a warning. Months later, Jake published a memoir, Shadows in the Woods. It sold out in hours, sparking online theories, from the supernatural to accusations of fraud. I didn't write it for fame, Jake said in a rare interview. I wrote it so no one else goes into that forest. Some parents sued him,
claiming he slandered their children's memory. Others, like Karen, clung to his words. "If he's lying, why?" she asked, holding his book. "He lost everything, like us. I believe him. I believe Emma's still out there." A year after Jake's return, Willow Creek hadn't healed. The forest held its secrets, buried under moss and vines. Families lived between hope and despair. One crisp autumn day, Jake returned to Lincoln High. The school, once alive with his class's laughter, was now a memorial. He stood before the plaque, names cutting like blades. Emma Harper, Lucas Reed, Mia Torres, Sophie Larson. "I'm sorry," he whispered, kneeling. From his pocket, he pulled a moldy yearbook and slipped a note inside, hidden under the cover. "We tried to leave. Only I made it. Forgive me."